There's always been something special about movies. No matter your mood, there was always something to watch. If I needed to get away, I could go to the movies. If I wanted to escape my mind, I could lock myself away in my room and turn one on. For over an hour, you could be anywhere and anyone in a whole new world. You could completely let go. I applied to Blockbuster Video when I was 16 years old, dying for the chance to be immersed in the world of film. When I was told you had to be 18 to work there, you could bet your bottom dollar that on my 18th birthday, I came back to fill out an application. It was here, in what was already my happiest place, that I ended up meeting my soulmate. I was the lead during her evening shifts. Her shy awkwardness was so different than all the other girls. She was calculated. Anything she said or did was the result of meticulous thought. She cared as much about a customer walking into our store as she would about her family. Cliché to say, but she was really a breath of fresh air. She carried herself with care, which is a lost art in our generation. Oh, did I adore her. Casual conversation over our favorite movies quickly evolved into more. She was the only person who loved movies more than me. Her favorite genre was horror, which I thought was really cool. We would go almost every weekend to the movies. Sometimes we would sneak a double feature by running to the screen next to ours once our movie was over. It was our thing, our beginning. We fell in love on the foundation of film and the connection it gave us. When we moved into our first home, it was pure bliss. It welcomed us with a lifting embrace. There was an immediate sense of peace from the first moment we turned the key, and we didn't waste time blowing through our savings to furnish it and make it our own. Our staircase had a dark mahogany stain, with a wrought iron railing that had spindles cascading up and down in an elegant dance. It led up to a large open loft that connected to all of the bedrooms. Its back wall was huge, with no windows. Being the movie buffs we wanted to buy a projector and use that wall as a movie screen. We already had 2 recliners and some snack tables, so we were basically all set up for our own homemade theater. My wife was big on thrifting, so we spent some time searching a few stores for deals on things we still wanted for the house. We didn't want to spend a ton of money on a brand new projector before our first mortgage payment. In a way, we felt irresponsible spending money on things we didn't need. I did say how lucky it would be if we found one at a thrift shop or Goodwill. Lo and behold, next Saturday morning, there it was. When my wife pointed it out to me in the back corner of the store, I could see it was pretty worn. It looked as if it had seen better days, but we took the chance. For the price, we couldn't complain, even if it was broken. At the time, we still had a year or so before Blockbuster went out of business. We rushed over and searched through the horror section for a random scary movie. When we made it home, we immediately went to work. I placed the projector on a little table between our chairs. It did have an HDMI port, so I used that to connect our DVD player that sat underneath it. Once it started getting a little dark outside, I ran downstairs to set us up with snacks. I popped some popcorn, grabbed some chips, and brought up a 6-pack. I opened the movie case. The disc inside was blank. There was no art, no text, nothing. Usually there would at least be some words along that inside ring with information pertaining to what was on the disc. I was a little annoyed because I knew from working at Blockbuster that somebody probably put their own blank disc in and kept the movie. As an employee, you were supposed to open the case before checking the returns back in. Somebody working there must have gotten lazy. "Aw, come on," I sighed. We only rented one movie. My wife saw me on the floor and she knew what happened.
Pop it in anyways. See what happens. Maybe it'll be good,
My wife said, trying to salvage the situation. She popped the top off of 2 Coronas and gestured one to me. "Yeah, and maybe it's porn." I grabbed the beer. Her face scrunched in disapproval.
Ew. You think people still do that?
Customers who thought they were funny would sometimes swap unmarked discs filled with porn, hoping that nobody would notice. Maybe I'll just head back over and swap it out. It's like Russian roulette, movie edition, when this happens. and I don't feel like being scarred for life tonight by somebody's twisted sense of humor. I really didn't want to go out again. I just tasted that first sip of beer, and my mind was already checked out.
Nah, play it. Just shut it off if it's gross or whatever. But let's get something out of this, even if it's just a laugh.
I thought about it. I couldn't help but laugh already. I was curious too, so I agreed. I hit play.
Hey, but keep your finger on the stop button.
The projector displayed a few seconds of a bright white light, before revealing a fuzzy outline of a person from the shoulders up. A large cigarette burn on the screen disguised the figure's identity. The film was coming in grainy, like one of those old-school 8mm home videos. The figure was adjusting the camera before backing up a few steps to reveal the surroundings. There were a lot of trees and bushes in the near vicinity, but beyond that, it looked like someone's backyard. There were a lot of people far off in the background, but it was a bit out of focus. It must have been some family barbecue. The unknown figure went off the screen and must have picked up the camera. It lifted off the ground and zoomed in a bit closer on the people in the yard. Are we weirded out by any of this yet? I was starting to feel uneasy about it.
What? Why? Nothing's even happened yet.
My wife said calmly, between chews of popcorn. I don't know if I want to see if anything does happen.
Just leave it. I want to see what happens. It's some low-budget amateur movie. I bet some people made this for fun, made a copy and threw it in the case. Figures maybe somebody will see it and like it. Free publicity.
I looked back to the screen and I could make out faces. A taller man in the group in the backyard looked back at the camera, and I could see him making direct eye contact. There was a low whisper. Corpus Meum. Then the screen abruptly went black. It cut back a few seconds later to a different spot, but still the same backyard. It's a bit darker, and everything is much closer and louder now. There's leaves on all sides of the screen, and I can really only see what's going on through a small circle of visibility in the middle. There are some lights on the porch, and a few tiki torches lit. There are a few less people out now, and that tall man is still outside. They're having a few beers and I can hear some music playing. He keeps looking back dramatically at the screen, like he's turning his whole body around. I still wasn't clear on how exactly to feel about this, but I was getting a little more comfortable.
I know, it's like a Jimmy Fallon skit on SNL.
My wife's wit always helped me loosen up. That and a couple beers. I wonder what the budget was for this garbage.
Not sure, but I could probably afford this guy's acting with the change in my back pocket. Wait, what is he doing? He's walking towards the camera.
The tall man walked down the porch steps and towards the camera, eyes fixed intently on the screen the entire time. There was something about his gaze. It was very intense. The whites around his eyes were fierce and wide, and I didn't catch him blinking even once. He set his beer down next to the camera before pulling it out of the bush and focusing it on himself. His face was blank. He seemed particularly unfazed about finding a camera hidden away, obviously filming their get-together. Okay, so he must be in on this. My wife was going in on the popcorn. I could tell how interested she was in a movie by how she ate her popcorn. The faster, the better. What was that spooky mumbo-jumbo somebody said right before it went black before? You heard that, right? I was kind of starting to get into this. The acting sucked, but most horror movies are that way.
I thought I heard something, yeah. Sounded like another language.
The camera was bobbing up and down a bit as it made its way back towards the porch and up the steps. A large blade scraped along the lens of the camera before one little tap, and it was gone. The tall man was able to close a lot of distance before his friends went wide-eyed and began to scream. The tall man punched the blade into each and every one of them one by one as they tried to get away. It was a classic slasher. He turned the camera around again to reveal his face. He stabbed each eye once with the blade, never blinking, never flinching. His face remained steady. He whispered, "Corpus Meum." The whispers repeated. Even when the blood pouring from his eyes gurgled in his mouth, he didn't stop. The tall man's eyes were mutilated, and for a low budget, it looked all too real. Blood was all over the screen, and I had to look away. The only light in the loft was coming from the projector, but it was enough to see the whites of my wife's wide eyes. She was expressionless, and she was staring at me. Hey guys and ladies, thanks for watching. Send your story or creepypasta to the email in the description. My Patreon, shirts, Twitter, and Instagram are down there too. Be good to animals, even people, so.
Já, snemma, bergsbus, hreish.
Hey lady, you got what I need. You like that?